cord to this computer. Welcome to the Focus Forum, June 26, 2026. We have an addition to the team, Ryan Nielsen, and we'll start with Ryan and go right around to Dr. Danielle. So Ryan, please introduce yourself.
Hey, thank you, Alicia. I'm so honored to be here. My name is Ryan Nilsson. I'm a former HR professional, senior HR professional, HR manager for 20 years, and worked in both the private sector and the corporate sector, seen a lot of action, helped a lot of people, solved a lot of problems, had so much fun, and then there were so many tears that I witnessed as well. It ran the gamut, and I enjoyed the training development piece and the employee relations piece where I really spent the most of my career. But I also considered myself a generalist, and that's why I went to HR management and really had a very rich experience inside of both the private sector and the public sector. And experience a lot of people seeing themselves wondering what's next for me because I was always in those meetings when employees were going to have to make a decision on what's going to be next for them because their employment was no longer mutually beneficial. And so I realized that, you know what? I can help them in some way or capacity in the future once I exit. And so there was accumulation of events around COVID and all these different things that we were navigating during that time that made me start thinking about leaving. And I really got serious about it. And one day, an event happened where I had the opportunity to say, no thanks, but no thanks. But my employment with you is no longer mutually beneficial and exited, bought myself a few months of vacation and sick time so that I could kind of gather my thoughts and start preparing my mind because I knew that my mindset was going to need to shift from an employee mindset to an entrepreneur mindset. So today, I am an accountability coach for Magnet Mind Development and a half-time affiliate marketer. So coach, marketer, and I am in the process of developing a platform to where I can assist people with their exit into something that would help them make it be a bridge between leaving their current 9 to 5 grind into becoming their own boss, becoming an entrepreneur, or maybe just creating a side hustle or a side income while they're still at work and really do it the right way. When I left, I burned the ships. I didn't have a golden parachute. Um, Anybody can do it, but that's not what I would recommend. And that's why I want to help people so that they succeed.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. John?
Yeah, John K. Neuroplastician. I basically transform people's lives by training their brains to be faster, more focused, and operate with less stress so they can accomplish twice as much in half the time.
Awesome. Tara?
Tara Utter, developer of the CHOPS method, where I help individuals and organizations strengthen their internal strengths from the inside out. It's not about who you know, it's what you know and how you respond to what you know. So I help them to develop all of that and be successful in entrepreneurship, leadership, job transitions, all of that fun stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome. And Dr. Danielle?
Hello, Danielle Lord, founder and principal of Archetype Learning Solutions. I am an author, researcher, and content creator of the data that I collect from workplace trauma and helping organizations create healthier cultures for happier employees.
Awesome. John, since you came up with the idea for today's topic, please introduce it. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's interesting. We all were talking earlier about how we've all had a transition, and it's actually, my program helps a lot with mental resilience. I work with a lot of executives who are transferring from one position to another, and in that whole transition stage. And I thought it might be a great topic for us, because I'm sure people listening are either in transition, thinking about transition. How do they do it? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? And I thought it might be an interesting topic that people could relate to. So we can open it up. I don't know if the first question would be, your best transition. Was it involuntary or voluntary?
Great question. I like that. Who would like to chime in on this one?
I don't know about first transition because that was a long time ago.
Best transition, your best transition.
Let's see, my last transition was voluntary. I transitioned from a leadership position where my husband and I were leading a ministry. We kind of stepped out of that, and I went back to school, and he went back to work because the leadership above us was not good leadership, which is what inspired me to go back to school and find out why. That just kind of progressed. But yeah, it was learning what not to do, which we did a lot of learning what not to do. So, and that's a lot of the reason why I developed, it was my inspiration behind the CHOPS method, honestly.
Wow.
Well,
awesome.
And I thought of you, Danielle, because you said that your involuntary transition is what helped you create what you're doing now, right?
Well, yes and no. This has been my entire 34 years is doing this work. I think leaving the chains of the corporate sector has really helped me, as a neuroplastician, John, you'll appreciate this. And I always say the tired, stressed, frustrated, anxious brain cannot create. Right. And leaving the bonds of the corporate system and all the constraints that came with it, I'll tell you, my creativity has never been as, I think, good as it's been. I can't stop coming up with ideas, which is a problem for me as a business owner, because I'm constantly in that squirrel mindset, and I've had to get really disciplined. It was like going back to and working on my PhD, where I had to get super disciplined and say, okay, I'm not doing anything more until I get these things done, because the ideas just keep coming. So I think that we have so many people that are so I call it cumulative workplace distress, which is the umbrella term of the compassion fatigue, the moral injury, the burnout, all those things that we talk about. And under this umbrella term, when we're in that space, we are not creative. And yet we have our employers who are constantly pestering us and demanding that we be creative. We can have a whole conversation about what happened with Tesla and Edison around creativity, but it's been a remarkable transition. It didn't feel like it at the time because it was involuntary. It's not because I did anything bad or unethical, but it felt awful in the moment, having to walk away from a 30-year career. But what I've been able to do with it slowly over time has been really remarkable and so freeing. Yeah.
Well, and for Ryan, because as an HR professional, you probably had to help people transition in and transition out, correct?
Oh yeah,
takeaways from that.
Lots of that. Danielle, I feel for you, but you did it with honor and respect and dignity. And look at you today, you're flourishing. That is so awesome. Yeah, it's so hard to understand when an employer says, we don't need your services anymore. And it may be a good reason, it may be a bad reason, and their counsel will have to defend whether it was illegal or legal reason. But there is something called at will, and I live in a state that's right to work state, and so we had policies where people were just cause, and we had policy where people were at will. So there's going to be a time when that happens, and I've never been fired per se. I've only been laid off, and this last transition was my favorite because it launched me into what I'm doing now, and I love it. Talk about creativity, Danielle. Who else is feeling like now that you're doing your own gig that you have more ideas than you ever had when you were in a career. Although I did have many ideas, and some of them got shot down. The winds got knocked out of my sails. I know you guys can relate, but even more so now. And I love what you do, Danielle. That's so awesome. And same thing for you, Tara. And you too, John. All of this is great. So anyway, at least you haven't said anything
Well,
yet.
I was getting ready to say I'm going to sympathize or empathize with those who transitioned during the COVID. I remember it was March 12th, and God led me to pay major credit cards, put some money in the bank. And I got the call because I was working as an assistant at ARCA Blackstone Valley in the Human Resources Department. And they said, all the executives are working from home. We don't need you anymore. And so like that, I was out of a job. But I like it because June came and someone in the recruitment department at Grand Canyon University saw my work, and they were like, would you like to come and be a student at our school? I'm like, okay, yeah, I think I might want to, because while I was at Providence College, which is a well-known Dominican friar school here in Rhode Island, I always wanted to keep my education in what we call religious studies or religious environment. So I went from Dominican friars to a Christian university, and I love it. I love Grand Canyon University with my heart. I got a 3.77 GPA for my Master's of Science in Leadership. And like Tara and like Dr. Danielle, I am following my dream to achieve my doctorate in organizational leadership. So right now I'm 55% done, which means I still have a couple of classroom classes to go through, but now that I built the organizational excellence model, I want that to be the focus of completing my dissertation. So that's where I am. And was the transition good? It wasn't initially. Who wants to get a call like that, you know? But I'm proud to be able to even put a group like this where you guys are so powerful in what you do together. I feel so blessed that God gave me the vision for this and the vision for the organizational excellence model, because I've been introducing it to, well, what God put in my heart is just to share it. So I've been introducing it to many leaders of different organizations, and every time they're like, wow, girl, you did this, proud of you. Good job. Those have been the accolades thus far. And I'm just saying, God, you deserve the glory on this. You deserve the glory. So I'm grateful.
I've had two involuntary, going along back, involuntary getting fired. Neither because I wasn't performing. I was one of the top performers in both companies. It was, very rigid management, and I don't know if they're whatever the deal was, it didn't make sense to me. So then I went to work for a number of big consulting companies, and I never wanted that to happen again. So about 20 years ago, I decided to, instead of working for a consulting company, because I had a very unique skill set, I would be on my own. And then I had several consulting companies who would bring me in to do what they needed to do, but then I was in control, not them. And that really opened everything up. So I had choices. I was able to do what I love to do. And that's ever since. So at least for 20 years now, I've been on my own. And it's good and it's bad, right? I mean, it's there's benefits to being in a company. You don't have to worry about a regular paycheck. In fact, at one time, a friend said, you're allergic to a regular paycheck, right? Because as a consultant, it's always ups and downs. But
Feast or famine.
Yeah. So
well,
go ahead.
I was going to ask, how many of us have the perspectives that it's like when Jesus went to heaven, he told the people to wait in the upper room and to take the gospel from Jerusalem to Judea to Samaria to the uttermost part of the earth. But here's the thing, they halfway listened to him until persecution came. So how many of us have the perspective that sometimes it takes a little bit of a kick in the butt, if I can say that, to actually institute what we're really supposed to be doing with our lives here on the earth.
It's a good question.
I could say that my exit was a spiritual 2x4. It really was. I was like, I just got this scathingly brilliant idea. I'm like, oh no, I'm afraid of this one. It was so big. And so, but I think there's a lot to be said with how our intuition, is how we can connect with the higher power, God, whatever you want to call it, and in an instinct in prayer is what we do when we talk to God. It's intuition. God's talking to us. That's our higher faculty as a human being. We're the highest form of God's creation. And so this is an empowering conversation because we all have gone through a big transition in our lives. And Danielle, your exit was it was unfortunate because it was no fault of your own. You just maybe there was some decision that management didn't agree with, and they said thanks but no thanks. See ya after 30 years. Not in the same position, but go ahead.
I would add to that too. As a researcher, I knew that there were some very unethical things with the way that this was being rolled out. And as a researcher, I could not abide by, and Tara will, now having gone through the dissertation process, there is a code of ethics that comes with that. And you cannot force somebody into research. Tara, if you and I had done what I'm alluding to, which doesn't need to go any further here on this for this conversation, but if you and I had done that and we had a research participant who came back to us, we could go to federal prison. And there is a code of ethics, and I knew that code of ethics was being violated. And as someone who has been down this path, it was just not something I was willing to put up with or to do to myself and have that moral, that was a moral injury for me that I was not willing to take on. So, yeah.
No, that's empowering in itself, to be honest, to recognize that. I was working for a company early in my dissertation process. Oh, okay. Gotta talk to you later, Danielle.
Sorry, everyone.
Bye.
But I was working for a company that it was an employment agency, and it was at the higher levels of employment and things. And they were like, "You need to put this ad out, and it needs to say this, but we're not looking for anyone specific. It's a blanket statement." And so when you talk to somebody, and a lot of the things in the back office side of it were a little on the shady side. And I'm like, I can't, if I'm talking to somebody, I'm talking to them about a specific position, not some blanket, I'm going to put them in the database. I mean, and I know there's a process. I know there is. But there's some of the things that they were wanting me to do were a little on the shady side, and ethically I was talking to my husband, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I need to focus on my dissertation. It's not like I'm getting big bucks from them anyway. So are you okay with me saying bye-bye to them? And he's like, if it's an ethical issue, then absolutely. And I think that's a hard one for a lot of people, because they look at their income as, and a lot of people, and even us today, they always say one paycheck away from homelessness. And, fortunately we had a savings to where that wasn't the case. However, I could see where that could have happened easily, and so some people are willing to do the shady because they need that money coming in, and they don't know where else to turn. I mean, this position was like, oh, we need you calling people on the weekends and at night when they're home after work. And I'm like, no, I have a family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have priorities, and you are not it. You know,
Right.
you are
Right.
not it.
Mhm.
And so I can see where it is so difficult, and that's why I didn't go the HR route, because corporate, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Yes, there was a steady paycheck, but I couldn't do it. I worked hospitality in my early years when we were still much younger, and even some of the stuff that was going on the corporate side of that, I was like, you know, my husband
Mm-hmm.
was a banquets manager at this same hotel, and you know, he would get propositioned all the time. Well, I'm not going to pay my $100,000 bill unless you deliver it personally. He goes, well, then I guess you ain't paying it, huh?
Mm.
You know, there's just so much going on that shouldn't be. And so it's hard to differentiate where that path needs to take us.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, for those that don't have the resilience and fortitude to differentiate the shady from the we want to build you up and make you better, or we just want you to fit into our little mold, you know. So that's a hard one for a lot of people.
You know, I pay attention to a couple of organizations: SHRM, Society of Human
Mhm.
Resource Management, Gallup, and Appreciation
Mhm.
at Work. And last week, SHRM had its 2026 conference. I paid attention specifically to Johnny Taylor Jr., who is the CEO of SHRM. And recently, he's made a lot of posts about leadership in these organizations. My question is this: as a business owner, if I know my staff, my leadership staff is practicing not quite on the par of ethics in my organization, that would be a need for some discussion, some intense discussion. Why aren't more of business owners calling to task their leadership? What do you think?
Fear, maybe? You know,
But they're the business owners. So
Yeah,
why are they
that's
not
true.
calling the leadership to the carpet, saying, why do we
Yeah.
need to ask of somebody to make calls on the weekends to our, employees who may be frontline or, have a seasoned relationship with the organization? Why would they
Well,
not speak it
yeah,
up?
I think there's various reasons for that. I mean,
Mhm.
you know, you've got some that they just want the bottom line. I don't want to know. I'm going to turn a blind eye,
Yep.
and you do what you got to do to get the job done, because they want the bottom line. It's all about the ROI.
Mm-hmm.
You've got
Return on
some
investment.
that so you've got some that, you know, they're a little shady themselves and they don't really care. Or you've got some that, you know, are just kind of indifferent.
Mhm.
But, you know, I think it depends on the person and the business owner or the CEO specifically and their character, because their character is going to trickle down
Okay.
if they have that relationship with their leadership. And that's a lot of some of the stuff that I do, because so being in the ministry for over 30 years, there were people put into leadership that had no business. They just looked the part,
Yep.
you know, and they looked like they would be a good leader and had no skills whatsoever. And the problem with that is it damages people's faith when they do that.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the reasons why I created my program, was to address this. And I told them, you know, with the church we were in, I was like, or are in, I'm like, this is a bottom up change, but I need the leadership to get behind it. Yeah. I'm going to make the leadership look like the heroes for bringing this in and teaching their parishioners and their, and their leadership staff how to do things ethically, biblically, and so not every corporation that I go into, do I do things or do I refer to scripture, because not everybody is for that.
Right.
But the principles are the same.
Yes.
I may say the same thing. I just, where at a church, I'll reference the scriptures, and at a corporate, I won't. Right. That's the only difference, because I mean, honestly, it's all the same. And that was coming out of leadership in the ministry taught me so much about the different personalities, and one of the things that I struggled with since I was a kid, and it wasn't until 5 years ago that I really put a handle on it because of all the education and put a label on it. But I struggled with imposter syndrome for years and didn't know what it was. So, once I realized and put a label on it and went, okay, I know I'm finishing up my master's degree, but I need to really dig into this. And so after I finished that, I dug into what imposter syndrome was. What are the characteristics? All of these things that were affecting who I was. I was the perfectionist. I was the superhero. I had a little bit of every one of the 5 characteristics that define imposter syndrome. And it wasn't until I came to terms with it and did a little digging into why that I was able to kind of stand up and go, okay, no, this leadership is wrong, and here's why. This I see what's going on in this ministry, and I see the damage they're doing, and this is why they're damaging people's faith. And so it was really challenging, because a lot of the people that were damaged were my friends, people I've spent years in the ministry with. And so when I have to go, okay, you know what? I know you want that person to be a leader, and they may have a great character, but you don't know them well enough.
Right.
They have no life experience. They've lived in their mom's basement until they were 40, and or whatever the case may be. And there's no life experience there to be able to counsel people, to be able to lead people. And I think that's where a lot of corporations miss the mark, is they're putting people in that they think will be a good leader, instead of looking, and Ryan, you probably see a lot of this, or saw a lot of this
close to home. In any organization, there's always that chance that somebody's promoted and they have no skills whatsoever. And the reason why I was assigned, why I was picked to be the HR manager after interviewing with several other people inside and outside the organization, is because that particular elected official's office had a bunch of fraud in about 2009, 2000. It was a few years before I was hired, and they had to let go a good chunk of their motor vehicle staff, because that was the area where a lot of fraud was happening and people were committing felonies. And so they were suffering because they needed supervisors. And so the leadership education development program that I had started years ago is still going. I don't know if it's going today, because I'm not there. And the likelihood after COVID, everything just kind of was on pause and put in the parking lot. But they had an influx of a bunch of people from that particular office in those training classes, just trying to learn. And I was helping them in a way that I think at the end of the day, when I went back in there after they'd gone through that program, and I was there with them for about 18 months, I knew that a lot of the stuff that they learned in those sessions with me and other subject matter experts that we had during that time. And we did roundtable discussions, and there was just so much high maintenance with them because they were just so green and so young, and they not young in age or anything, but just to the position. And that's why they
Sometimes
really
both.
opened up that HR manager role, because they really just had like administration, had the chief deputy. He was acting as the HR manager. And so it's like it was a good move for them, and they did some restructuring, and they recovered. But it took the county tax assessor, not tax, the auditor's office to do an audit to find all these mistakes. They call them mistakes, but they weren't. They were doing them on purpose at that time. And all those people left, and even a director, the director of the motor vehicles division was let go.
Wow.
And yeah, so they're not keeping it. They're not. See, I learned one of my very first management jobs was at Sam's Club, and I was an assistant manager. Well, I was in training, and I remember one of the trainers. He was another assistant manager. He said, "People don't expect what you don't inspect," and that always stuck with me. And they had these satellite offices, and they were run by the employees, and there was no supervision because they were short staffed. And that's where a lot of the theft
Loose in
happened.
the circus.
I mean, they were just cut loose. And they figured out ways to cut corners and to hide under the paperwork and make the numbers match
Book
and,
the
and pocket a
numbers.
bunch of it. You know what I mean? So, hey, people, especially in those entry level positions, and the benefits are really good at that organization, but the pay was like, it was pretty competitive, but for the kind of work they did and the things they had to put up with, especially when you exchange money, that's a stressful position. But as I've been sitting here listening to you, Tara, I was wondering, what does CHOPS stand for exactly?
CHOPS is an acronym. It's confidence, hope, optimism, perseverance, and spirit.
I love it.
Yeah.
Confidence,
Well,
hope,
because
optimism, perseverance, and spirit.
yes, because so my research, like I said, it's based on my research, and my research is psychological capital, which is the hero within, hope, optimism, resilience, and self-efficacy, and grit, which is passion and perseverance. And so this is kind of a combination of both, along with the spiritual side of things, whether it be biblical spiritual or someone's personal, whatever their higher power, whatever they believe in. For me, it's a spiritual thing. It's, God is the one that inspired it. God's the one that allowed me to do what I needed to do to get this and motivate me and all of that. So it's, spirit can be different for different people, but it's still that same, that is what it is. And this is my, based on my research, but developed into what I needed it to be. So yeah, that's what CHOPS is.
And I see that you have it copyrighted. Congratulations.
Yes, I did
Yes.
do. I've done the work. I have done the
Yeah.
work. So
Excellent.
my
Excellent.
next step is to trademark it, but that's a little bit more expensive. So until
You can poor man trademark. Just use TM instead of C.
Mhm.
Lawyer told me
Yeah.
that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like
I-
my organization excellence model, I did it through ChatGPT, and that's how I got my TM on it.
Mhm.
So I've been speaking to my attorney. She said that's the best way to get it. If you're
Oh,
working
nice.
with ChatGPT,
Well, there we go.
yeah.
I do more with Claude, because what I found with the different AI models is chat is great for, like Ryan said, the ideas, the just free flowing, whatever. Whereas Claude actually gives me references, current references if necessary. Whereas chat, they're at least 5 years old. And sometimes chat makes up references. They look good, but they're
in the
not real.
earliest in the earliest stage, I did find that to be the truth.
Yeah.
But
And
I think
I
that
don't know if I don't use it for references anymore because of that. But
yeah.
Claude, I've checked out the references that it's given me because it's like, okay, I need a sales page. This is what it needs to have on it, or I need an email sequence based on, the different, because I've created also a CHOPS gap assessment. So that's kind of my lead magnet is they get a mini, it's like 3 minutes. They go in and do a little quick assessment and it tells me where they're lacking, whether it be confidence, hope, optimism. And, sometimes it's a surprise to them. Sometimes it's a surprise to me or everybody,
Well,
but
I just want to support you in that because I do remember when you had me do it when you
yes.
were first developing it. It's a beautiful system.
Yes.
It's
So
worth
now I'm
trying.
working on all of the follow-up emails, and that's where Claude comes in. It's like, okay, I can't write an email sequence for every single one of the components, and I just don't know how. I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at helping them, and I'm not good at the whole back office stuff. And so that's where Claude comes in. Because
Oh my gosh, absolutely. See,
yeah,
that's what it's supposed to be used for.
yeah. I mean,
For
and it's got
those
so
kinds
many
of things.
different. You've got the co-work, you've got the chat, you've got the code, and each one of them is a strength within itself. And I don't understand. I'm still stuck on the chat part because I can't.
Oh,
The bandwidth isn't there right now.
you can give it skills. It's
Yeah,
very, very
Tara,
robust.
Tara
Yeah.
sounded like she needs a long vacation for a while after
well,
this.
because so Ryan, just so you know, we moved to Arkansas a couple months ago, and we are developing this blank canvas of a piece of property into a resort campground, where it's gonna be a regular campground RV park, but we're also gonna service military and first responders because my husband is police and military chaplain, and so we're going to I'll be able to teach my courses there. Hopefully I can get John to come in and, stay a couple days at the cabin and do something for the vets and, all of this fun stuff that I'm trying to get my program done so that we have the money to not have to go get jobs because I still have to run that in the back office also.
Right, right. Well,
So I
that's a
only
big
have a
task.
little bit on my plate on top of finishing my dissertation and defending.
Wow.
But that, it's all about time management. And it's funny because I went into the other night, I was just, analysis paralysis. I was like, okay, I've got all these things I need to do, and I'm just not doing anything. I was just sitting there on my phone scrolling. So I'm like, you know what? All right, Claude, I'm going to see how well you work. Help me develop a time management 1-page paper that I can put my calendar on and that I can balance these aspects, at least 5 aspects of my life. And so we went back and forth until I developed this 1-page, time management plan that is very balanced. And I went, oh my God, this is amazing. Okay,
Absolutely.
Claude,
Yeah.
write me a quick little ebook that explains this and then refers it to, and, pull chops into the whole thing.
Wow.
It was beautiful.
Well,
I don't even know what else to say.
Tara, give yourself some credit. Your AI is not going to be any smarter than you are unless you build a skill in an area with someone else who's more qualified than you are. It's always going to be as smart as you are.
I know the idea came from me, and I did a lot of tweaks to it, but it helped me put it together in less than an hour, and I went, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah, it's a credit to you and your ability to train it. That's for sure.
Yeah. I was like, it sounds like me. It is in my brand, everything. I was like, I didn't even think of that.
Well, that's another thing because it's very resourceful, just like HR, highly resourceful.
It is, but and that's we've had these AI conversations where we have to kind of be careful and how we use it, but I'm like, this was productive. This was awesome. Okay, I don't feel so bad today.
Well, where I'm using it, and you probably the same thing for your clients, is those reports I sent you, Tara, those are all Claude.
Yeah.
So it takes my results, takes the research, puts them together, specifically focused on, whoever my potential client is. And you could do the same thing.
Yeah, I
Great.
printed off the one specifically for autism because I needed to read that. And it's sitting on my desk looking at me going, hello. I'm like, it's there.
Right.
I got you. I got you.
It would have taken me weeks to do that, right? And
Oh, yeah.
Claude did it in 10 minutes. It's so good. So
Yeah, I actually sent it to my daughter because my grandson, he's 4, he's nonverbal autistic. And, he's in therapy, and he was literally just formally diagnosed. She's been fighting the system for 3 years now. And he was just formally diagnosed 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
What percentage is he?
He's level 2.
My Evie, my daughter's daughter, because I have a son and he has a daughter too. So there's 2 granddaughters. But the last granddaughter, she's 1% of the spectrum. She was diagnosed when she was 3 because she wasn't talking. So she had intellect, but it wasn't coming out the mouth.
He's very smart. He's very manipulative.
Aren't they? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But he has, he gets very frustrated that nobody understands him. And so he, it just, cyclone goes through, and, my daughter's had to take all of his toys, and, his bedroom is very minimal because he just has a fit when he can't communicate properly. And, but yeah, it's she was very excited to read that, and she's like, okay, I have hope.
Well, and that's the thing, all the wide spectrum, right? But a lot of research indicates the underlying problem is just a filtering problem, right? They can't filter, which is why you want to control everything. Too much, they get overwhelmed and so forth. And so when we improve that ability to filter information at a core level, then they can open up. I mean, some of the testimonials are reading that are it blew me away.
Oh yeah. I mean, I did skim. I haven't done a deep dive into it yet, but I did skim through it and looked at. I looked at the case studies, and I went, oh wow, that's amazing. Okay, I definitely need to jump into this more, but I just haven't had the time yet.
Okay, so you got me feeling, Mr. Kennedy's. Where's my copy?
I think I copied.
Yeah, you put it in a group email. It was there. Yeah,
I'm gonna look for it then.
I'm looking forward to reading the other articles as well. But that one was my priority. Yeah,
no, I appreciate it. But again, without Claude, it never could have come together. It was just amazing.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about AI now. As many people may quote unquote have fear of it, we who are consultants and coaches and stuff, we see the value of it, and that it's a great assistant to what we need. Instead of having to hire somebody to be a personal assistant, we now have AI in a way that is so beneficial, So people out there, don't be afraid. It's usable. Yeah. It's a great tool.
It is an amazing tool if you know how to use it.
Like every one of our discussions comes back to AI, right?
It does. That's funny. Yeah. Because it's such an integral part, integral part of tongue-tying myself of what we're trying to do and everything that we're accomplishing.
It's our partner, I mean, yes, we have our significant others, and then we have AI. Yeah. So we're going to take this moment and just go around and share what we bring to the table for our audience. And I'm going to start with Tara. I am so excited for the time that I get to say Dr. Tara. But
I know.
Right now,
hopefully in the next 6 weeks, I'll have that done.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's a lot of ifs going into that, but there's also a lot of faith going into that. But yeah, so I'm working on my link right now. Claude is actually helping me do that. But chopsmethod-com.lovable.app is where you can find everything. Soon it'll just be chopsmethod.com. well, like it's supposed to be. But you will find the mini assessment. You will find a way to contact me, the different programs I have. I do have more, as far as one-on-one help small individuals try and find what they want to do in life. So that's just something that they can contact me for. It's not necessarily on the website, but it's not something that I can't help them with because I know I can. Because, what we do, we have to be mentally strong for a lot of this stuff. And that's where I help them get to.
Awesome. Ryan, I know this is your
Yeah.
first day, but we'd like to know what you bring to the table for the audience.
Bring to the table. I'm your cheerleader, guys. I'm rooting for you.
What's your offer, in other words?
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm working on my ebook, One Affiliate Commission. Actually, the Affiliate Commission's playbook, commission or affiliate marketers commission playbook to borrow audiences, because a lot of newbies in affiliate market don't have their own audience yet. So I'm fleshing that out. Probably by one of the next calls, if I'm on here, I'll have it ready to launch for everyone to see and download. It's a free. It's a lead magnet. And then I'm on YouTube, just like Alicia. Obviously, my thing is I review and promote digital products, software, information products, training inside of the Make Money Online niche, and catered to mid to late career professionals that are ready to exit the workplace or wanting to be ready, and they need a bridge and they need somebody to be their guide. I'm your guy. I'm the guide. I'm the accountability guy for Magnet Mind Development, and I am also a co-author with Alicia in the Economy Creators Volume 1 book that's coming out in the fall.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
And
Catch me on
John,
Facebook too. I'm the only Ryan with an I Nilsson on Facebook. So there you go.
Like the ratings, Nielsen.
I have to hop. I got a client meeting.
Okay. So you want to
basically-
say your offer real quick?
Yeah, basically anything you want help with, I can help. I mean, everything goes through your brain. I can make your brain faster, more focused. We can heal brain trauma. We can accelerate your performance. Definitely reach out to me. And for you guys, I put in a link, the link to Christian Entrepreneurs Club, most supportive group I've ever been with. Alicia, you're familiar with it.
Yes.
They've got free classes on AI, on sales, on marketing, masterminds, whatever. So definitely check that link out. And they have a great Bible study on Wednesdays. Got to run to my client, but it's always so good to be here. Thank you so much, Alicia, for getting us together.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It's nice meeting you, John.
Okay.
Great topic idea, John.
Thank you so much, everyone, and just have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Bye, Tara.
Bye-bye.